Greetings, warrior of the soul. If you've made it this far, it's not by chance. It's because deep within you, there's a voice screaming for control, for self-mastery, for that unshakable peace that only a few ever reach. Today, I bring you something not everyone is ready to hear, but you are, because you're not just anyone. You're cut from a different cloth. Master this, and you will master yourself. That's the promise Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic sages, left us. But beware, this isn't about mastering the world or other people or even the chaos around you. This is about something far deeper. Mastering the one thing that truly belongs to you. Your mind, your thoughts, your emotions. That is power, that is freedom. And that, my friend, is something very few achieve, but you are about to discover it. Now, stop for a second and answer this with brutal honesty. How many times have you felt like everything is slipping through your fingers? Like you do everything right, and still the world hits you without mercy? Like you try to change others, fix the outside world, and you end up frustrated, exhausted, empty? Epictetus knew that. He lived it. Born a slave, with no external freedom, no political power, no wealth, and yet he became one of the freest men in all of history. How did he do it? He learned the most brutal and liberating rule of all. You don't control what happens, but you do control how you respond. That's the key, because the world owes you nothing. Life isn't fair or unfair, it just is. And if you don't learn to separate what you can control from what you can't, you'll be chaining yourself every single day. And do you know what's absurd? That most people do exactly that. They live reacting, exploding, complaining, wishing the world would change, that the weather would be different, that people would understand them, that luck would finally show up. Meanwhile, you, yes, you can choose to start building from a different place. Epictetus taught us there's an invisible line between what depends on you and what doesn't. Your thoughts, your decisions, your actions, those are yours. The rest, other people's opinions, accidents, politics, the weather, the past, those are not. If you pour your energy into what you can't control, you're betraying yourself. But if you focus on what you can control, then yes, that's where true power begins. And you know what? This isn't just some pretty theory. This isn't philosophy to sound smart. This is something you train, you apply, you live. Here's an example. Imagine someone loses their job overnight. Most people collapse, blame themselves, blame others, panic. But some, a few, in the middle of that blow, breathe, accept it, and use that moment as a rebirth. Because you don't control getting fired, but you do control what you do with that. That's the difference between the average and you. And no, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to begin. Are you ready to stop living like a victim and take control of what truly belongs to you? Now listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you might be uncomfortable, but it's the truth that sets you free. As long as you keep believing the world should adjust to your desires, you will remain a slave. Yes, a slave. To your expectations, to your volatile emotions, to other people's behavior. A puppet pulled by invisible strings that you yourself are holding. But you weren't born for that. You weren't put on this earth to react like everyone else. You're here because something inside you wants to wake up, wants to break that mental chain you've been dragging for years, wants to be free of the burden of trying to control the uncontrollable, and start mastering the only thing that truly matters, yourself. That's what Epictetus taught. And he didn't teach it from an ivory tower. He taught it from the darkness, from adversity. He was a slave, yes, but inwardly free. Can you imagine the strength that takes to be physically chained, yet live with more inner freedom than most free men around you today? And you who are not physically chained, are you really going to do nothing about it? Stop distracting yourself. Stop waiting. Enough. Everything changes the moment you understand this. Life isn't about what happens to you, but about how you choose to face it. And that choice, it's in your hands, yours alone. Let's begin this transformation, because once you understand it, there's no turning back. And when it clicks, when this idea stops being a concept and becomes a way of life, you start to see differently. Because what Epictetus offered wasn't advice. It was a silent revolution. True freedom lies in mastering what depends on you. And here comes the powerful part. He broke it down with brutal clarity. There are only two categories in existence: what you can control and what you can't. Period. No third option, no gray area. And all human suffering begins the moment you confuse the two and fight to control what was never yours to begin with. Think about it carefully. Your thoughts, your actions, your choices, that is your domain. But traffic, the economy, what others think of you, how your friends act, your partner, your parents, even your boss, that was never under your control. And how many times have you wasted your energy, your tears, your entire days trying to change exactly that? That's the poison, but it's also the map to your freedom. Modern science confirms it. Cognitive psychology, for example, has a foundation that draws directly from the Stoics. Aaron T. Beck, one of the fathers of cognitive therapy, discovered that what affects us is not the event itself, but the interpretation we give it. Exactly what Epictetus said over 2,000 years ago. It's not what happens to us that affects us, but what we think about what happens to us. And look how this resonates with neuroscience as well. Studies on the brain show that when you learn to regulate your attention, your focus, you can literally change your emotional state. In other words, if you train your mind to focus on what you can control, your biology aligns, your body responds, your emotions stabilize, your entire perspective on life transforms. This isn't magic, it's radical responsibility. And that, my friend, is what very few are willing to embrace. But you are, because you're not part of the crowd. You're not here to crawl behind your impulses like a dog chasing the scent of its own fear. You're here to lead yourself, to master your wildest, weakest, most reactive side, because mastery over the world begins with mastery over oneself. And do you know what the first step is? Stop reacting like an automaton. Start observing yourself. Did something someone said bother you? Did it frustrate you that things didn't go as expected? Perfect. That's an alarm, a signal. Not to change the outside, but to turn inward and ask, does this depend on me or not? And if it doesn't, let it go. Like taking a stone out of your shoe. Don't fight what you can't control. Don't beg in someone else's territory, because when you do, you give away your power. And you're not here to be weak. You were made to walk firmly, no matter the storm ahead. You have something many have lost, a hunger for awareness. And that hunger is pure gold. Because while others settle for reacting, you choose to respond. And that changes everything. To respond, not react. That is the difference between a wise person and an emotional slave, between someone who lives with integrity and someone who merely survives, trapped in impulsiveness. Epictetus said it with knife-sharp clarity. Don't seek for things to happen the way you want. Wish for them to happen as they do, and you'll be happy. See it, it's an inner shift. It's not resignation, it's alignment with reality. Because when you stop fighting the inevitable, all your energy is free to act powerfully on what is in your hands. And yes, I know what you might be thinking. But what if things are truly bad? What if they betrayed me, failed me, if life turned its back on me? Of course it hurts. We're not denying that. But that pain, if you know how to use it, becomes fire. Legend says that Epictetus, still a slave at the time, had a weak leg, mistreated by his master. One day, his owner began to twist his leg cruelly. Epictetus calmly said, "If you keep going, you're going to break it." And he did. The bone cracked. Epictetus simply added, "I warned you." Coldness, number mastery, a level of self-control so brutal that not even physical pain could steal his serenity. And you, are you really going to let a dirty look, a comment on social media, or an argument steal your peace? Because there's something you must burn into your mind. If you don't govern your mind, someone else will. It might be a person, a headline, an emotion, or a limiting belief, but someone will take the wheel. And that's not living, that's drifting. You are here to take the wheel, to steer your ship, even in the middle of a hurricane. And you don't need to change the wind. You just need to learn how to set your sails. That is the central teaching of Epictetus. We can't control the world, but we can control how we navigate within it. And you, unlike most, have the courage to do it with awareness, with purpose, with inner power. So the next time you feel anger, fear, anxiety, or frustration, pause, breathe. Remember this. Does this depend on me or not? And if the answer is no, smile, because you just sidestepped a trap that captures millions. And if the answer is yes, act without excuses, without delay, with the full force of your focused will. Because right there, at that exact moment when you choose to act only on what depends on you, that's when you become a truly powerful human being. Not powerful for what you have, but for what you master, yourself. And that, dear listener, is an art that very few dare to practice. Look around, observe. Most people live like leaves in the wind, directionless, rootless. They wake up in the morning already worried about things that haven't even happened. They live trapped in the what ifs, the I wish, the why me. They stay busy trying to make the world adapt to them instead of learning to adapt to the world with wisdom. But you're not like that. You're here because you're ready to let go of the drama and take real control. Not the illusion of control that comes from trying to change others, not the one who yells the loudest just to be right, but the silent, fierce control of someone who masters himself in the midst of chaos. The one who, when everything burns, doesn't run, but breathes, thinks, and acts with precision. Let me say it without sugarcoating. Self-mastery is a form of rebellion. A rebellion against the noise, against the ego, against the emotions that try to drag you into the abyss. It's a radical act of clarity. And with every conscious decision you make, you're cutting the strings that others don't even realize are tying them down. And you know what else? The world notices. Yes, the world can feel it when someone starts changing from within, when someone stops reacting like an animal and starts acting like a master. Because inner mastery shows in your eyes, in your tone of voice, in the way you walk, listen, and respond. You don't need to shout it, it's felt. Now here's a challenge for you. Try it this week. When someone irritates you, when things don't go your way, when stress tries to consume you, pause. Don't give up your power. Don't fall into the old habit of reacting. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself honestly, does this depend on me or not? And answer with courage. Because right there in that moment, you'll be training the most important muscle in your life, your character. Because true freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's having the strength not to do what destroys you. And you have that strength. You just need to wake it up. And when you do, something shifts permanently. Not outside, but inside. The noise of the world continues. The injustices remain. People still act the way they do. But you are no longer the same. You no longer need everything to be okay to feel at peace. Because that peace no longer depends on others. It depends on you alone. And that's what Epictetus came to teach you. Not how to change the world, but how to change the way you exist within it. Not how to control outcomes, but how to master your attitude toward every outcome. And that is what makes you unstoppable. Do you know why this is so powerful? Because no one can take it from you. Not the economy, not the weather, not your enemies, not betrayal, not even death. When you learn to master what depends on you, your thoughts, your decisions, your habits, your perspective, you become invulnerable in the essential. You can lose everything, but if you don't lose yourself, you've lost nothing. And this isn't just ancient philosophy. This is emotional survival in the 21st century. Because today's world is designed to distract you, to push you into reaction, to make you addicted to other people's opinions, to likes, to applause. But you're not here for that. You're here for something much greater, to become the master of yourself. And to achieve that, you need consistency, discipline, courage. You need to train your mind like a warrior trains his sword. Every single day, every thought you choose, every impulse you control, Every word you decide not to say are small victories. And every internal victory, no matter how small, builds the kind of human being who leaves a mark. Look at yourself for a moment. You're someone who's willing to question, to rise, to let go of the victim role. That alone puts you on a different level. That makes you rare, dangerous, admirable. Because while most people look for excuses, you are looking for power. While many blame the world, you are working to master your inner world. And one more thing I want you to remember. This is not about perfection. You won't always get it right. You'll fall. You'll react. You'll forget. But every time you come back to this truth, Epictetus's truth, your truth, you'll be one step closer, one step freer, one step stronger. So hear me now and carve this into your soul. True power is not in shouting louder. It's not in being right. It's not in controlling the outside or having everything go your way. True power is within you, in your mind, in your ability to choose your response, even when the world is falling apart around you. Master that, and you master everything. Because if you can govern yourself when you're hurt, tired, provoked, or frustrated, then you are no longer a slave. You are free, free as Epictetus was, free as only a few dare to be, free as you can be if you choose to train, if you choose to live consciously, if you choose to stop reacting and start responding with purpose. You're not here to be part of the noise. You're here to become the rock in the middle of the storm, to look chaos in the eye and smile, to be that rare, steady force that doesn't break because it knows who it is. That firm presence who, even if they can't control the world, controls the most important thing, themselves. And if you've made it this far, you already know. You are not like the rest. You are made for something greater. Now it's your turn. Take this teaching. Don't just keep it in your head. Embody it. Practice. Apply. Make it yours. Don't let it stay just a video. Make it your way of life. And if this message lit something inside you, if it made you think, feel, rise from within, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon, because we're not here to entertain. We're here to awaken, to remind you who you are, and to give you, again and again, the tools that very few dare to give. See you in the next one. Get ready, because this is just the beginning.